Just come back from a little bit of a run, so I'm interested to see what drips we've got. Well, that looks all wet there, doesn't it, down the back of there? Okay. So what about up here? I saw a couple of drips at the fuel station, so there's a drip there already, look, see. There, look at the back. You see it come out there. Now there is a seal on that thing, look like a rubber seal. And there's, yeah, it just dripped there, I think. Did it just, yeah. And there's a drip on that bolt there, look. There's a drip on that bolt there now. And there's a drip come out of that back edge there, so that's, you know, you can't go leaving drips like that because it's really thick stuff as well, it treads everywhere. That's just after one run, it's only about 5-10 miles, something like that. Probably not even, probably about 8 miles. That's the bloody thing, got my sunglasses on. Got my dad's old sunglasses on. Right, what's going on down here? Did you hear that? The oil filter made a funny noise. Oh, okay. It doesn't look too bad down here, does it? I can't see like lots of oil. I can see a tiny bit there. I've got the... can see something. Okay. Don't look too bad. Oh yeah, okay. This doesn't look too bad, does it? Actually, there. Okay. Look at that there. So, see, that's wet there. That's where I greased that yesterday. Yeah, I think there's a lot of oil in here, isn't there? There's oil in here. There's oil coming out into the clutch area. Hence why it's around here, because it's coming up all around the starter. Okay, but I have at least fixed that leak at the back. That's, you know, that's not good though, is it? I've only driven it 8 miles. That's, look at that, see 2 drips just come down then. Yeah, this is not very good at all, is it? Okay, I'm using my camera now. I can see a trail of oil there, look. That's coming from round by the starter, I think. Yeah, okay. I think I need to do something with the rear main seal, don't I? I need to pull the motor, get it all apart, and address the rear main seal. Yeah, that's just dripped again out off that and there. I think the crank seal's okay. Spent quite a bit of time fixing that crank seal. I can't really put up with that like that. It's just bad, you know, it just makes such a mess. But I think I have stopped the leak at the top from the filter return, so that's going to be better. That looks okay though, doesn't it? Where I've done that, there's no oil coming out of there or there, so that's good. Okay, right, partial success then. Partial success. I'm going to review my video. Okay, I'll catch you guys next time. Hello. I've got a problem that I need to try and address, or at least work out what I can do to mitigate it. Now, I haven't done very many miles, probably, I don't know, let's say 100 miles since I topped this axle up. And I topped this axle up here on this piece of concrete. So the level ought to be to the bottom of this thing here. Now, I'm going to get my little finger and stick it in there. And I'm bending my finger down as far as it will go. Oh, there's a tiny bit right on the end of my finger, so that's like the oil level must be down here somewhere. Let's just try that again. Let's try not doing it so far. Hang on. Right. Nothing. That's kind of about there. That's bending it right the way down as far as I can. No, nothing. Don't want to get my finger caught. Don't want to get my finger stuck. Oh, okay. So the oil level must be right down here. But I have had a constant drip from the clamshell area. In other words, this oil is migrating along the torque tube to the clamshell area. Now, I wasn't aware of a problem before I did the conversion to the gearbox. I got under here a couple of days ago and I put a spirit level against the torque tube. I might do that again actually and try and get a better sort of understanding for how far downhill the torque tube is pointing. Yeah, let me find a spirit level that I can put along that torque tube and get an idea how far off level it is. Okay. But I'm shocked that I've lost, you know, quite a bit of oil out of here. Okay, righto. I'll be back in a bit. That's actually uphill. That's with the front wheels about just over an inch off the ground. Not a good way of doing it, but I just need some ideas first of all. If there's any oil in there, that actually ought to be draining back into the axle now. See, I've got accumulation of things that have altered the angle. I've put the overdrive gearbox in, but I've lowered it at this point here where you can see those mounts there. And because it sticks out, that lowers this bit even further. So there's a multiplication factor of that bit over the length of the engine. Plus I've raised the front of the motor a little bit. And then I've fitted the Model A cross member which lowered the front end a little bit. Everything that I'm doing is lowering the car bit by bit and lowering this point here. So what I need to work out is some sort of a number whereby if I can raise this point here by X amount, can I make a difference? I haven't got any answers yet. I've got ideas and questions but no answers, so I'll bring you back when there's something more to show. Hello, this is a Model A cross member, and if you measure from the spring pad area, so if you measure from there down to the table there, 2.6 inches. So that was that Model A cross member there. This is my 32 cross member that I had in the car before, and you can see the difference there, look. So that goes down to the table, right? That's 3.6 inches. So 2.6, 3.6, it's 1 inch difference. Now that actually is a commonly known fact, because people put the Model A cross members into 32s to lower the car. The problem is, for me, that lowering that front by 1 inch, plus some of the other things that I've done, has kind of messed things up for me. So I need to remedy this situation. So I think what I'm going to do is pull the motor. There's a secondary reason for this as well. But I think I'm going to pull the motor and revert back to the 32 cross member, but trim it. I can cut it kind of along there and just kind of just come out like that, blend it out. It's only got to clear the pulley, so you can imagine the diameter of a pulley there. So I'm kind of cut this metal here, bring it round like that, bring it up. Not too drastic, and in theory I could save the piece. So that will raise the front of the car 1 inch, and this one will bolt in because all the holes should line up with this one. So that's probably something that I'm going to do. The secondary consideration is, not only is my torque tube leaking, but my engine is leaking as well. It's causing a mess. I've had to put kitty litter on it. So I'll take the engine out, I'll get it on the engine stand, flip it upside down and readdress all the oil pan seals and possibly the rear crank seal. I'll have to readdress those and put some sealant on. And while that's out, I will think about what else I can do to help things. So yeah, so I've got another round of work yet, which is a bit of a bit of a swine, but hey ho. Okay, right, I've got some ideas now, and I've got a bit of a way to proceed. So I will bring you back when there's more to show. I'm looking at how I can raise the gearbox as much as possible. Problem is I don't have very good access in this area at all. I think I'll just jack it up until it touches. I've pushed it up as far as I can. It's on the jack at the moment, so I'll let it off the jack and see if it comes down a little bit. Okay, yeah. Well, it hasn't gone down much. That might be touching there. There might be like it might be touching there. There might be like a vibration transmitted through. But I'm trying to gain every little tiny bit that I can. You can see it's high up because those nuts would hardly be accessible now. Just thinking about lowering the front of the motor just a tiny bit, about 1/4 of an inch. There's more clearance there now with the back of the gearbox raised. But really, without changing the cross member, I won't alter the situation. But it will help it a little bit. I think what I'll do, I'll put the jack back under there, and I'll raise the front 1 inch so that I can make a judgment on the angle of the torque tube. Yeah, back in a sec. Okay, so that's 1 inch higher. So in other words, that's where it would sit with the 32 cross member in it. So I'll put my spirit level on and see if it looks like the drive shaft is now uphill. The bubble is now definitely towards the front of the car. which is towards the R in Minotaur, Minotaur. So that torque tube is now going uphill. So I'm hoping that if I swap the 32 cross member in, if I swap the 32 cross member in and just raise the back of that transmission there like I have, it'll be okay. I just went and bought this little spirit level. I couldn't really do the job with the other one. Yeah, I think that'll make a difference. So that's my next job. Fit the 32 cross member. Okay, back in a bit. I've ground there and I've ground there and I've ground there and I'm just breaking this out. I just did that kind of freehand. I'll get the other grinder now and kind of just tidy it up a bit. Although it doesn't look too bad, to be honest, but you know, try and make it look nice. I've got my ear defenders on, so I'm sort of can't hear myself properly. Makes a big difference when you're grinding though. Okay, back in a bit. I looked at the car and I decided to go a bit lower because if possible I want to try and lower the front of the engine. So I've just took a bit more out like that. But I think that don't look too bad. Okay, righto, back in a bit. Hello, I'm sitting in my contemplating chair and having a think. Right, so I have started to get ready to take the engine out. So what I'm trying to work out is, do I want to take the axle out? Do I want to take the gearbox out? Do I want to take the overdrive out? The areas that I'm interested in are the front cross member, possibly the engine mounts. And I wouldn't mind taking the axle out to clean all around the universal joint, reseal it and pack it with to use a different grease. I bought some John Deere Cornhead grease, but what I was just thinking was, there's no need to sort of complicate this job with that job. That could be done separately as a separate job afterwards. But most important thing is to change the front cross member. So to do that I want to take the engine out, and when I've got the engine out I want to have a look at why it leaks so badly. So it's engine out, engine leak investigation, change front cross member, put engine back in, and also do like a test run of, can I take the engine in and out with the gearbox still in the car? It would be good if I could, because it's quite a lot more complicated to take the axle out and the overdrive off to get the engine and gearbox out in one go. So if the gearbox could stay in place, that would be a good thing. Even though I've just raised it at the back of the gearbox as a test, I've just undone all the bolts so it's dropped down as low as it can go. So it's as low as it can go now. That will allow me to lift the front of the engine up to get the engine out. So as it's quite a big job, I need to kind of get into the sort of big job frame of mind instead of just tinkering about. So I'm going to take all the floorboards out so I can get to the bolts and think about how I want the car sitting. Okay, anyway, so I'm not going to take the axle out, I'm not going to take the overdrive off, I'm not going to take the gearbox out, I'm just going to take the engine out and the front cross member. So I'm going to do the jobs associated with that. Does that sound reasonable? I hope so. It does to me. Okay, right, I will continue to work on it then. I'm just about to pull the engine out. It's hanging on the chains, it's unbolted from the gearbox, and I've taken the weight enough to relieve it from the engine mounts. I was just about to turn the camera on and I realised I hadn't undone the battery, so I've just disconnected the battery. So I'm going to just see if this engine will come out okay. Maybe that one down there. Mr. Bolton, oh, bloody hell. That little adapter piece that was on the end of the input shaft has stayed in the bearing. Okay, good. Right, let's have a think. Okay, anyway, there's the engine out again. Didn't take too long. Let's get the engine mounts out, the cross member out, and the other cross member in again. Righto, I'll bring it back when there's more to show. I've got the engine out, I've got it on the engine stand. It's making a mess. I'm just looking underneath. I'm looking for oil leaks. There's a general kind of little bit of a leak here. Not too bad. Just a little bit of wetness. I mean, that bolt there is dripping oil. And that bolt there is wet. It's all very wet along that side. It's very wet kind of along here. Now bear in mind that breather there is welded up, so that can't be leaking. You know, never say never though, eh? That one's wet as well. There's oil all down here. So this side of it is all wet. And there's oil there as well, coming from that area. So I'm going to take the oil pan off. I'll take the starter off first, I suppose. And I'll take the oil pan off and have a good look. See what I can see. I'm looking down there. There seems to be a lot of oil here. It looks like the oil pan has sealed there, but it appears to be sealing right at the very rear edge of the thing. The back of the flywheel is a bit oily. Okay. Just generally looking around at the bores and things. Okay. All the nuts appear to be done up. Okay, everything looks clean enough, doesn't it? Okay, I'll find something to put these gaskets in and I'll take them off carefully. This one appears to be stuck to the block to a certain extent. But if you, like here for instance, it's just not stuck to the block and it's just, see how much oil there is there? I'm sure that hasn't got there just, you know, during this operation, and I think that's been leaking there in that corner back there. Very hard to get the camera to point in the right place. As if that edge there wants dressing forward a bit to move forward a bit on the sill. I'm not very happy with some of the shit that's in the bottom of this pan. copper coloured stuff. Don't know what that is. This is very oily though, isn't it, in here? Okay. Okay, I will carefully remove these. I'll put my gloves back on. There's that little drain there. This end of it, to be honest, looks okay. I did quite a lot of remedial work around here. Yeah, it looks okay up here, doesn't it? This side of it and this end that looks like where it's been leaking. And the oil on that one there would kind of bear that out, wouldn't it? If oil's getting to there and then coming down that bolt. So oil's been all in that area there. Okay. Okay. Righto, back in a bit. A little bit worried about that coppery coloured stuff. Don't know what that is. Racking my brains. Hello. I pulled the oil pan off the motor, and I'm a little bit concerned about this debris in the bottom of the pan. And what I've just noticed is, what's that gap? That's really bad, isn't it? So I'm going to pull that cap there and have a look, see what's going on. But that's a little bit upsetting, to be honest, because that means I might not be able to run this motor. If the crank's damaged, I might not be able to run this motor. I don't know how far that is. It's a long way though, isn't it? Okay. Right, okay. I don't know what the problem is, but it doesn't look good. I'll be back in a bit. Well, okay, the news isn't good. Look at this. That's the bearing. That's the rear side of it. There's the crank. Look at the thrust piece. That's completely scrap. That crank is scrap. That would need to be repaired and reground. That is completely ridiculous, isn't it? How on earth? Look at that, and there's a big piece of copper material there in the groove. Look. Look at that. Okay. So this motor's not going anywhere in the meantime, is it? Yeah, the alarm bell started ringing when I saw that material in the sump pan. There in the oil pan. Okay. That's rather upsetting actually. It's kind of gone bell-mouthed, doesn't it, that flange? Got hot. Oh God. Just don't understand that. I mean, they were new bearings. Now the thing is, I did put a shim down the back of the bearing, but I put it actually on that side there, and that side appears to be perfectly alright. Look at that, that's really had it, that has, hasn't it? Oh God. What can one do? Okay, righto. Well, I'm racing. Well, not racing. I'm doing the go thing in a week's time. So, although I didn't detect anything wrong with this means I'm not going to be able to run this engine. Which also means I'm not, well, unless I put another engine in this car, it means I'm not going to be able to run this car. That's the motor that I took out. That's just a plodder. Well, I've only got plodder motors I can put in. The motor in the truck is a French motor, but a plodder. So I suppose the motor in the truck, the crank and everything, would be the crank that I would use to repair this. I do have another 20 thou crank in the shed. I'm not used to having failures like this. Normally, you know, I'm pretty lucky and things go okay. Not good at all. Okay. What does one do? Well, I suppose what you have to say is, look, this is a hobby. This is done for enjoyment. The fact that this motor's no good, you know, it doesn't matter. The sun will still come up in the morning. You know, it's just a minor thing on something that doesn't actually matter. I do have another 20 thou crank, but these were my last. No, actually these mains were the French mains, weren't they? These were the French mains, I think. But that, oh dear, I don't know what to say. I'm sort of a bit gutted, really. Okay. So this requires more work than I thought. I need to do some thinking and not panicking. I'll bring it back when I decide what I'm going to do. Okay, thanks for joining me in the garage then. Cheers for now. Bye.